Welcome to ClipNotes.
The movie!
Batman Begins.
The plot!
A billionaire orphaned by inner-city violence trains himself into a scary creature of the night in order to fight crime.
The characters!
Batman, a.k.a. Bruce Wayne, also young Bruce Wayne. A billionaire ninja who dresses up like a big scary bat to fight crime. Rachel Dawes, incorruptible assistant DA and Bruce Wayne's childhood best friend. Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce's butler and surrogate father. Jim Gordon, a police detective with a strong sense of right. Lucius Fox, head of research at Wayne Enterprises. Ducard, a recruiter and trainer for a league of assassins and ninjas. Scarecrow, a.k.a. Dr. Jonathan Crane, a psychiatrist who gets off on scaring the crap out of people. Carmine Falcone, just your run-of-the-mill drug trafficking mob boss. This movie was a great big, widely accepted apology from Hollywood for allowing Batman to crumble into ridiculousness almost 10 years prior. But even back in the 90s, after Batman and Robin got schmocked, DC liked a good reboot. And after they failed to do a Scarecrow sequel, they started talking about doing a Batman Year One movie, which bounced around until in walked Christopher Nolan, who had, like Burton in his time, been pushing boundaries and making wildly original type films. Hopes ran high for this reboot, so let's get started. A bunch of bats form the Bat logo. Young Bruce Wayne and young Rachel Dawes are playing somewhere on the Wayne estate. He takes an Indian arrowhead from her, runs away, and quickly learns that crime doesn't pay as he falls through an old well where he gets attacked by like a bazillion bats. Lots of bats. Years later, this older, beardier Bruce Wayne is in some prison in some distant country. He's clearly been hiding out and training abroad to broaden his fighting skills. His first thing in the morning, he's taken away by guards because he's just gosh darn beating up too many people. They throw him in a little dungeon, and out from the shadows comes Ducard.
The world is too small for someone like Bruce Wayne to disappear.
We'll get to that later. Ducard says he represents Ra's al Ghul. Then he offers the opportunity to train with the League of Shadows, an anti-crime club for ninjas. And all Bruce has to do is march out into the wilderness and get a rare blue flower. Bruce is released from prison somehow and goes out to Six Flags, picks a flower, and drags his tired, half-frozen ass up the mountain, where he meets Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul, I guess.
You're certain it was Ra's al Ghul? None other.
Says he wants to fight crime. Ducard starts up the training immediately by fighting him till he passes out and flashback to the well. The bats finally disperse and Bruce's dad gets him out of the well. Later on, young Bruce is feeling better, but he's having nightmares about bats, which he talks about to his dad. And he explains that the bats attacked him because they were scared. So dad shows him a pearl necklace that he's getting ready to give to Mother Wayne and drags his kid out of bed. Next up, the Wayne family is on a big train and dad basically explains to Bruce that he had the train built, and at the center of the train system is Wayne Towers. Later that evening, the Waynes are in a theater attending a performance of, not that it matters, but Mephistopheles. Whatever, it's an opera about the devil making a bargain that he can corrupt this poor guy Faust. Doesn't matter, but it runs great parallels to the story of Batman and Gotham. Anyway, there's a bunch of bat-like boogeymen in the opera, which freaks Bruce out, so they all have to leave and his parents get shot. The murder of Bruce Wayne's parents has been explored many times, not just in the comic, but in the movies and TV as well. Here, however, we get the most unceremonious depiction of that. Some viewers may be confused, remembering that the Joker killed his parents in the Batman 1989 film, but that was just in that movie. Traditionally, this is how it goes down. Just a random thug, a random killing. Pearl necklace gets scattered, Bruce cries, but important for this movie in particular, Dad tells Bruce not to be afraid. So, Bruce is with the police now, and we're going to ignore how unmercifully scary Gary Oldman usually is, and take comfort in Jim Gordon here as he puts a coat around Bruce. This other cop tells young Bruce that they got the guy. There's a funeral, and the flashback back in the mountains with Ducard and Bruce hitting the ninja training montage. Bonfire time! Ducard talks about his wife being murdered and gets all fire stare face, and then he inquires to Bruce why he didn't avenge his parents. Flashbackity back. Bruce comes back from Princeton to attend the hearing of Joe Chill, the guy who killed Bruce's parents. He argues with Alfred briefly about how much he hates Wayne Manor, and then he gets a gun out of his bag. At the hearing, things are going pretty good for Joe Chill. After it's all over, Bruce gets his gun and approaches Joe Chill to kill him, but some mobster hitman beats him to it. Oh my god! Rachel realizes the judge was paid off in order to get Joe Chill murdered because he finked on a big-time crime boss. But Bruce is like, revenge is cool, and I'm glad he's dead. But that just makes Miss Ideology here mad as hell. She drives him down into the ghetto and educates him on the mob running the city and drops him off at Falcone's little diner. Tells him to go and thank the guy then. Bruce tosses the gun into the river with maximum thrust and disgust and walks into the diner to talk to Falcone. But Falcone pulls a gun on him in front of a bunch of city officials and cops and says, that's the power of fear. And he gives him some really good advice about learning from suffering and using fear on your enemies. They rough him up a bit and they give him the boot. Bruce runs away from home, travels the underworld, and end the flashback again. So Ducard smokes up that little blue flower, which makes Bruce hallucinate fucking bats, and just all together makes things look freaky. They mask up all ninja style for a final battle, which involves a bunch of matching ninjas standing in a straight line and releasing bats, and Ducard jumping out and yelling shit like, you have to become an idea! But then Bruce tricks him and he completes the test. Hooray! So Ra's al Ghul sets Bruce up for one last task. If he chops off this murderer's head, then he can lead the League of Shadows to Gotham to purge it of corruption. Just FYI, the idea of a group of ninja assassins descending on Gotham sounds way cooler than it turns out to be. Of course, Bruce says no, and a fight breaks out. The whole place burns down. Ra's al Ghul gets buried under a fiery mass of rubble. Oh well, no big loss. And Bruce drags Ducard out of the fire and leaves him with some peasants. So then he's flying back to Gotham. He starts laying out the plan to become a symbol, and Alfred seems okay with this. Next up, enter two Rogues Gallery Batman baddies. Victor Zsasz here, who will continue to show up in the movie but do nothing, and Jonathan Crane. He's important. They're all in court with Rachel Dawes, who confronts Crane for sending criminals to the Arkham Insane Asylum rather than jail, because again, he's been paid off by the mob to do so. Later on, while Bruce is sitting crisscross applesauce doing his homework on Gotham cop stories, he spots a bat stuck in the house, and for no discernible reason, spelunks himself into the Batcave. Bats come up at him, but this badass has conquered his childhood phobia. Yay. Then Dr. Crane and Falcone are having a chat, and then they decide to knock off Rachel Dawes since they can't buy her off. Next up, more scene of guys in suits having serious conversations. This is William Earl. He runs Wayne Enterprises now. We don't like him because he wants to make weapons, and he's creepy because he's that weird-ass robot from Blade Runner. But then Bruce shows up to the board meeting, and that quickly gets in the news, and that gets to Rachel, who reacts calmly. Earl tells Bruce the company is going public, and Bruce is cool with that, and he just wants a job in applied sciences, please. So Bruce is sent downstairs to meet Lucius Fox. We like this guy because he was friends with Bruce Wayne's dad, and is also that guy who is in all those Morgan Freeman movies. Fox shows Bruce around, saying this place is a dead end because it's full of prototype technology that didn't take off. He monologues a bit about the water and power utilities running through the Wayne Tower with the train. Seriously, this is going to be important later. And he shows Bruce a bunch of stuff: armor, grappling gun, utility belt, etc. Bruce says he wants to borrow the stuff. Fox gets suspicious, but he says he can do whatever he wants. At the Batcave, we get a good look at the secret elevator that leads to Wayne Manor, and Bruce sets up shop in the cave, starts working on his crime-fighting suit, and orders his bat mask in separate parts from different countries instead of just making one. Just look on YouTube for a tutorial, Bruce. It's not that hard. Alright, out there in the Gotham underbelly, here's Detective Flask, taking up the mantle of a long line of fat cops who work with Jim Gordon. Flask don't like how Gordon doesn't take cop bribes, but they're okay, because Gordon doesn't rat on his criminal cop friends. Then up to the rooftop, click, click, click. Bruce Wayne hasn't received his custom-made bat mask yet, so he's just dolled up in a ski mask and League of Shadows spiky cuffs. He sneaks into Gordon's office and holds a stapler to his neck, pretending it's a gun, and asks him for information on taking down Falcone. After this brief chat, Ninja Bruce jumps out to the window and gets chased by cops till he throws himself into a fire escape and hobbles away. I wonder if looking back, Jim Gordon remembers this is how he met Batman and just kind of laughs to himself. Back at Fox's science department, Bruce is all, I need some kind of fabric for base jumping, please? And Fox shows him this floppy cloth that can turn into a parachute kind of thing, and all Bruce is thinking, oh my god, can you make it shaped like bat wings? Then they spot the tumbler hidden under a blanket. Yeah, I keep my tumbler covered up too, Mr. Fox. It's big, it was made for jumping across rivers, it's got boosters, and it's anyone's guess how he got it out of there without being seen. Bruce likey. Flash and Falcone talk about knocking off Rachel Dawes. Jeez, didn't we just do this? But this time, Bruce is listening in. The mask they bought sucks. Home crafts montage! I don't know what this is. And Bruce tells Alfred he wants to be a bat because
this time my enemies shared my dread.
Jesus, Bruce, lighten up. All right, kids, we're 1 full hour in. It's time for Batman to make a fucking appearance. Flash and Falcone talk about where the drugs is going, and thugs start disappearing, and the scene is kind of like a horror movie, but Batman is the monster. Pretty clever, fellas. The first appearance of Batman in a film is always important, because first you gotta be scary, then you gotta be ninja. Flash tells Falcone to leave, but he doesn't, and he gets to see a blur of Batcape beating up bad guys. Falcone hides out in his car and quietly says to himself, what the hell are you? And then,
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman!
everybody's Batman! Next scene! Rachel gets off the train and nearly gets mugged, but a Batman shows up and scares them off. He gives her some incriminating photos of a judge. Pictures of a judge? Meanwhile, Gordon finds Falcone chained up to a spotlight, which projects a blurry-ass bat thing on the sky. I guess, sorta, in a way? So, this is enough to get Falcone on trial. The next day, Batman's in the news, and Alfred tells Bruce he needs to ramp up a billionaire's social life so people won't suspect him as Batman. Meanwhile, at Wayne Tower, Earl is informed that a Wayne Tech device was stolen. Some kind of microwave emitter that vaporizes the water instantly, taken right off a boat. Wait just a darn minute here.
Some bad guys infiltrated a boat and stole a device that instantly vaporizes water.
Moisture from your body.
That's what happened in the Adam West movie! That night, Bruce tries to be a regular billionaire asshole by bringing some floozies to a nice restaurant and makes a scene and leaves with the two of them just in time for Rachel to see him and be real disappointed. He gets worried that she's gonna think this is the real him, and she says some kind of, it's what you do that defines you, asshole, and that just tears into the poor guy. The floozies call for him, and you really don't want to see the deleted scene that takes place when he gets these chicks home. So Dr. Crane comes to the jailhouse to talk to Falcone, Whoever they're talking about is planning something big, and Caine decides it's time to lay Falcone out. On goes the Scarecrow mask, out comes some freaky gas. Falcone starts screaming, and the Scarecrow says something, and way over here, Batman is gargoyling out in Gotham City. Gordon and Batman talk about the drug shipments because half the drugs was unaccounted for. Batman interrogates Flash. I don't know if he's really pissed or just pretending to be mad to scare the guy, but Batman is raging out. All he finds out is that the drugs go to some guy in the Narrows, and this little bit of food just bip, bip, bip. Yeah, that really adds to the scene. He lets Flash go, and Rachel's boss takes some cops down to the docks and cracks open one of Falcone's crates. The Wayne Tech device is in there, but the cops kill the guy. Meanwhile, Batman snoops around and, oh God, he's making me sick just looking at him. He finds the place where the drugs were taken to, and just then Caine shows up with some goons to burn the evidence. Caine zaps him with the poof of his fear toxin and tells Batman to lighten up, and then lights him in fire. Why do villains communicate almost exclusively in puns?
All right, everyone, chill.
Batman puts out the fire easy enough, but he's so doped up on fear toxin that he calls Alfred to come save him. 2 days later, Bruce wakes up, notes that the fear toxin is a lot like what they smoked out when he was being trained, but now it's weaponized. Lucius is there, and he says he did some chemistry needed to cure whatever the toxin does, and Bruce is like, what does that mean, Lucius? Because after 60 years of Batman being a ninja, master detective, brilliant scientist, he's now been reduced to a gadget junkie who punches people. He doesn't need to be smart anymore. He's got the old guy brigade backing him up. Rachel shows up at Wayne Manor because it's Bruce's birthday, and she gives him a gift and dips out before his party on account of her boss being murdered and Falcone being moved to Arkham. Oh, it's the Arrowhead. They're still good friends. She still cares. It's great. So Bruce hits some notes on his piano, opens a secret entrance, and takes his old elevator down to the Batcave. Awesome. Earl comes down and asks about the microwave emitter that got stolen, and then he fires Lucius. Rachel goes to Arkham and raises suspicions about Crane's operation, so he takes her to a basement, where she sees them pouring drugs into the water supply. She runs, he attacks her, dopes her up on fear toxin, and then kaboom! Lights go out, Batman's there! And then Bat Attack! Spinny, zippy karate shit, and Scarecrow's all hee hee hee. And Batman zaps him with his own fear toxin and proceeds to interrogate him and finds out that he's working for Ra's al Ghul. But he's dead! Right. The cops show up, SWAT team shows up, Gordon goes in to find Batman, who hands over the drugged up Rachel Dawes and tells Gordon to meet him outside. Batman gets out this little button that somehow makes bats show up and break the windows and flood the place, then he escapes in all the chaos. Gordon hands Rachel back to Batman, and here comes the Tumbler, which drives over this cop car, killing these two officers who are somehow still okay. Atomic batteries to power, bitches! He tells Rachel to be calm and then does all this shit. And takes her to the Batcave. Back at Arkham, some nerds tell Gordon that Gotham's entire water supply has been laced with the fear toxin, but no one is affected because it has to be absorbed through the lungs. So either no one takes steamy showers in Gotham, or I don't understand chemistry. Probably a little bit of both. Rachel wakes up in the Batcave and talks to Batman, who gives the Bat cure for the fear toxin, and knocks her out again. Basically the exact same thing that happened in the '89 Batman. Introduce Batmobile, take girl to Batcave, give her the info, knock her out. That's how Batman likes to spend his Thursday nights. Up at Bruce's party, Alfred is pretty pissed about the Batmobile.
It's a miracle no one was killed.
No, it's impossible that no one was killed. Bruce wants to cancel the party, but Alfred tells him not to destroy his father's good name because it's all that's left of him. Bruce gets to the party, talks with Earl about his company. Moving on! Gordon interrogates Caine, and then he's like, too late for them. Bruce finds Lucius at the party and tells him the drug is in the water supply, and Lucius realizes the microwave emitter is going to be used to disperse the fear toxin as an inhalant. Okay, then this lady grabs Bruce to introduce him to this dude in the Ra's al Ghul cosplay. Bruce is like,
You're not Ra's al Ghul. I watched him die.
and this chick is just, okay, awkward, never mind. And oh, look, it's Ducard. He was Ra's al Ghul the whole time. I would be shocked if I had any idea why this mattered. What's the point of having people pretend to be you, and they're always bald Asian guys who have the same mustache as you? What? This is Ra's al Ghul. Liam Neeson makes a great Al Ghul. He says his name, then he immediately says he represents Ra's al Ghul. And if fans were told he was there from the get-go, we just get to enjoy the character the whole time.
What's the point of his secrecy?
For fans, passive audiences, and Bruce Wayne, it is utterly meaningless. So then Bruce pretends to be drunk and kicks everyone out of his mansion, and Ra's al Ghul lays out his plan. Basically, he made Caine think they were going to hold the city to ransom, but really they just want to make everyone crazy with fear toxin. Some crooked SWAT guys beat up an Arkham guard and let all the criminals out, including the Scarecrow and Zsasz for some reason. Ra's admits he still wants Bruce to work with him, but Bruce don't want it. So he burns down Wayne Manor, they fight, Bruce loses, and they leave him for dead. SWAT guys blow holes in the Arkham walls, and all the loonies get out on the island. Rachel wakes up, grabs the antidote, Alfred wakes Bruce up, and gets him down to the Batcave as Wayne Manor collapses into flames. At the bottom of the elevator shaft, Alfred gives Bruce a surrogate daddy pep talk. And down in the Narrows, cops are trying to round up all the escaped lunatics. Rachel makes her way to Gordon and gives him the antidote. And with every available cop on the island, they raise the bridges. But Roz is there with the microwave emitter. This is too satisfying. And Roz turns the machine on, instantly vaporizing the toxin, drugging everyone on the island. These water utility guys tell us about the scene we just saw. Gordon inoculates himself against the fear toxin.
Batman pseudo montage.
Meanwhile, in the Narrows, Scarecrow gets a horse. That's terrifying. Batman shows up in the Narrows and explains to Gordon that the microwave emitter is on the train, and when it gets to Wayne Towers, which is the center of the water and utilities, the whole city will be covered in the toxin. But does anybody get the idea yet? And this movie is full of compelling, quotable dialogue on fear. But when Scarecrow, the master of fear, attacks Rachel, he's just...
There's nothing to fear but fear itself.
And gets tased in the face. Well, oh, that's over now. Okay, bye, Scarecrow. Zsasz shows up with a knife. Batman grabs him and takes out a bunch of escaped lunatics while Gordon gets into the Batmobile. Then Rachel asks Batman for his true identity, and he fucking tells her. It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. Why is he telling her that? Don't do that, Batman. Batman fights some goons, escapes a horde of fear-induced citizens, and this old guy explains that the central area was Wayne Towers, and if the train gets there, the whole city is. Gordon follows the train in the tumbler. Batman bashes through the window and fights Raz, hits him right in his big stupid demon head. Back to the old guy. Wayne is the center of the...
Shut up already!
Batman keeps fighting Roz. Gordon blows up the support beams for the train. Batman gets the upper hand, tells Roz he's not going to kill him, but he's not going to save him, which might seem hypocritical, but this kind of short-sightedness has been there since he refused to execute the murderer who definitely burned to death in the fire that he caused. Oops. The train crashes. Roz dies. The emitter explodes. So the next day, Earl comes to work and finds out that he's been fired. Lucius has his job now, and Bruce used his billions of dollars to buy his company back. Then Bruce boards up the old well, and Rachel shows up at the charred remains of his house, and they have a little moment. And she says when Gotham no longer needs Batman, they could maybe date or something? I don't know. They kiss, and when was this on the table? Anyway, Bruce says he'll rebuild the house exactly as it was, and Alfred points out that it's a good time to better integrate the house with the Batcave. Gordon put together a little bat signal which draws Batman out like a moth to a flame. He says he's been promoted to lieutenant, and things are really changing, some for the better and others for worse.
For instance,
Countless lunatics escaped Arkham, the Narrows have been completely destroyed and covered in madness, and there's this guy killing people and leaving playing the Joker! It's the Joker! Hooray! With the Batcave under construction, Gordon rising to commissioner, and a town full of dangerous lunatics, the stage is set for a Batman universe to expand boundlessly.
the end.
Now this guy was great for old bats here, because he was original, he was dark, and more importantly, as a film student, he slipped a bat signal into his film right there. He went a little heavy on the exposition, so that nothing could just simply be accepted or left to the imagination. And yeah, Nolan's Bat movies are praised for being more realistic. I mean, compared to other Batman movies. But honestly, most of these scenes could be mistaken for a crime drama, or even just scenes from The Office. In the end, it stands on its own because, anyone catch that we're mentioning fear a lot? That's called a theme. It isn't a character or an object in the movie, but it's an idea that affects everyone in the story. That's called writing. And the carrying over of fatherly advice from Alfred and Thomas Wayne, which merge with ideals from villains, Batman shows us how the dark and the light can be used to shape a person for a greater purpose, even in the face of meaningless tragedy. Thanks for watching ClipNotes summary of Batman Begins. So it must be time to do The Dark Knight. In the meantime, what other movies would you like to see summed up? What franchises do you think need ClipNotes so that you can watch upcoming movies without feeling lost? More videos on the way. Say what's up in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe to Jabberwatchy.